Hello, everyone. Good morning, and a warm welcome to you all. I think you all have braved Bangalore traffic to reach here on time, so thank you for that. And I was just meeting, all the panelists and luminaries, and I can say we have more than 120 to 150 years of experience in the industry. So really blessed, getting to know them and learn from them. And as we know, the theme of today's event and this topic, this panel is basically innovate and integrate and advancing with agility. So I know there are a lot of insights to be there. Let me start with Rahul. Rahul, how do you think an organization foster a culture of innovation? And like how do you get new ideas, encourage them, develop them, and build into tangible solutions? What's your take on this?
Namaste everyone and warm welcome to such an enlightening event on the startup and how we are progressing toward 2047 developed India as a nation direction. So I believe all of us has significant experience in terms of innovation for creating a true customer outcome. So I guess the question what has been put forward is very interesting, and we say how do we promote and create a culture of innovation? And it always starts with the mindset of the people who are part of your organization, right from topmost senior leader to the junior most people, because innovation ideas can come from anywhere. So the first important thing, what we promote in my past experience, whether it is Health Sprint, which is my first startup, or very latest health tech startup, MFine, we encourage people to share ideas openly, experiment and do POCs. And for that purpose, we have created quarterly POC demo days in which any team member across organization can put forward their ideas and say this is how they are implementing and present it. And with this particular demo day, whichever ideas are selected, we give them a special recognition, reward, as well as mandate to take it to the productionization journey. Second important thing what we have done is we look forward in our quarterly sort of performance review process, whether each of the team member has put forward certain experiments, certain, let us say, innovative ideas in practice so that they can be recognized. So I believe by putting forward these two practices about demo day as well as recognition in the quarterly performance review, we are able to foster certain degree of culture of innovation. Thank you.
That's great, Rahul. Ajay, I know startups and I know Rahul is also from fintech, right? But in your areas, how do you, when you have so many regulatory, I would say constraints, how do you foster innovation?
Hello. Yeah. Welcome everybody. I think it's a good opportunity and great topics that we have chosen to discuss today. Taking cue from Suresh, I think the issue is on being a regulated entity. Innovation is more to identify what is the problem statement at the customer end and identifying how we can use technology, people and processes to onboard customers with the ease and make banking available to the unbanked. Being a small finance bank, our objective has been traditionally to serve the underbanked. And being a technology-driven organization, we have embarked on the journey to onboard platforms which are customer-friendly. Our innovation in terms of Hello Ujjivan was an app which we launched a year ago, which brings about the forefront that it has three main elements to it. One is video, vernacular, and visual. It helps the users to understand what banking app is. It shows them the journey. And such innovations have helped us, and this problem statement came from the field staff, where they said our people don't understand how to use a mobile app, while they use WhatsApp and Instagram, etc. But their usage of mobile app is not so good. So going back to the drawing board, understanding how a customer onboards into the app and the journey, those innovations help. On my earlier experiences, I can relate having a portal within the organization to collect ideas and then take the journey through a business solution group, identifying those problem statements and conducting global hackathons has also been an idea generation platform for us within the organization.
Cool. Thanks, Ajay. I think that's very interesting. Venkat, I would like your take on it, right? You were mentioning earlier that Karnataka Bank is even older than RBI, right? So how do you, and again, it's the same finance space, banking space. What's your approach for fostering innovation?
So, thank you to all, from our side that you chose us to be in this platform. So thank you. Thanks to the organizers also. Very important thing is in banking, if you are not innovating, you are out of business. So we are a 100-year-old bank. Karnataka Bank is a 100-year-old bank. We are actually even older than the regulator himself. As Ajay told, we are in a very regulated environment. Controls have to be put. So it's a challenge is to, and we play with public money, right? We actually hold money of the common man. It's our responsibility as a CIO of an organization to give a better experience to whomsoever banks with us. So that's one part of it. It's responsible. I take it as a personal responsibility that I'm holding, and I'm running a shop. And actually, if you really look at it today, the banking is running out of your data center. So it's no longer that you are banking. Just because the branches are there doesn't mean that. But the actual banking and the core control platform of a bank runs from the data center, and that's where technology plays an important role. Innovation, to that extent, I would rather say that if you want, so if you think that I'm a 100-year-old bank, I have 20 million customers, should I be happy about it or should I be sad about it? So that's the question, right? The Gen Zs are not going to understand this question at all. The Gen Zs, and if I'm not able to provide products for the next generation, our ability to grow the bank for the next 15 years will get curtailed. Just imagine I'll go out of business because next 15 years, Gen Zs will not even come to you. And the better part for me is, if I'm able to give an innovative product, like, we have introduced, rather than giving a very standard credit card product to any customer, we are actually introduced credit line on UPI. So as a product. So what it does is a product innovation which is driven purely digital. I don't have to incur cost on cards. I don't have to incur costs on, delivering of cards, the logistics behind it, an operational leg behind it. So a bank actually gets measured into three major ratios. Okay, one is cost to income ratio, operational efficiency, product per customer, and profitability per customer. These are the four ratios in which any bank stock or any other thing gets evaluated. If I'm able to make improvements in all those areas is where I will be seen as a progressive bank. And connecting the dots from where I said, it is very imperative that the digital journeys and acquisition of customers also becomes that much amount of innovation is there. For me, so that is the acquisition cost, even before I am actually shortlisting a customer. And now we have arrived at, say, 100 shortlisted customers. The strike rate is not more than 5%. So you're actually spending 500, a 5 lakh or a 5 lakh rupee for doing 100 customers, on which you are only going to convert 5. So, you are not feasible to do those kind of, so you need to innovate. So innovate is by looking at how can I do business differently? How can I offer products differently? Why will a customer be with me if I'm not able to pass on any benefit to the end customer, or to anyone in the ecosystem? Why should he or she bank with me? So we are trying to cut that segment of it and going ahead. So that's the area wherein we are working on as a bank, and we are looking at various models. We are looking at various types of blockchain-based acquisitions and other stuff. So we're looking at various models in which we can do business. So, and the most important thing is we have to make my core very agile. So in the whole scheme of things, we have to make sure that the core is very agile as well. So that's a more important thing for us. Thank you.
Very interesting. I think one insight is in an industry like yours, right, which is very R&D focused, very capital intensive, and it takes a lot of time to bring innovation out, and it can be hard, it can be tough. How do you and keep encouraging your team, your people to bring those innovation for benefit of your customers?
Thanks. Welcome and good morning to all of you. So the semiconductor industry, as you mentioned, very capital intensive. So one of the first things is it is the second most R&D intensive industry. The most R&D intensive is healthcare. Basically the amount of money that you put back from your revenue to R&D, it's close to 20% in healthcare. Semiconductor is about 16 to 18%. So that is the first way that you put money back. So Applied Materials, a company that I represent, we put close to $3 to $4 billion back every year in R&D. So here in India, we do that by building labs. So you build labs where people can test hands-on with equipment and with test stands and things like that. So that's the first thing, by investing, right? The second is by giving people the opportunity to engage with experts. So this is a global industry. So we were talking earlier, one of the things here, semiconductor, you have to perform at global level, right? What you need and what you create needs to be cost competitive at a global level. So the best way to get this innovation forward is to give people here, the engineers here, the opportunity to engage with their global peers. So we have these conferences where we bring all the experts here, both from our company and outside, and give them the ability to see what is happening at the latest stage. So every 2 years, you buy a new phone, right? So that means technology has to change. So that's one thing that forces this industry to innovate. You cannot sit on what you made, or you become Motorola or something which gets obsoleted, right? You have to continue to innovate. And that is by exposing people. And then the other thing is, there is a reward mechanism. Every time you file a patent, every time you file invention disclosure and all that. And then a lot of recognition. In our all hands, we bring these people on stage. We actually give them the patent plaque and things like that. So there is a lot of personal reward mechanism that goes into that. The third part is how we can engage with the ecosystem. The startup ecosystem was not very deep tech based, but now that part is coming up. There are companies now that are looking at materials and systems and all that, which we can engage with. And also academia. How do we engage with academia? So these are the three. How do we invest? How do we incentivize? And how do we engage with the ecosystem? So those are the three levers that we use.
That's interesting. Pollination of ideas from academia, from other industries, and yeah, I think rewards and recognition. That's a great insight. Rajesh, I will move on to you. How do you feel about, I know we have discussed a lot of things, but what's your take on fostering innovation?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thanks for the opportunity, and it's a great place to share learnings. I've been fortunate to have an experience of multiple companies last 30 years, Siemens, Oracle, eBay, PayPal, built one company as well, sold it then in ABB. But I can say that when I look at innovation, I look at a little bit broader value chain, right? Call us technology as well as business innovation. To be honest, in digital, we need both of them together. And I call this, what I practice is, how do you find the equilibrium between a technology-driven business innovation, which typically happens from your research labs. You think about research, innovate, and business-driven technology innovation where you do it along with your customers, like very closer to the customers. I believe we need to focus on both to be able to really make it successful. That's the first element. In ABB, where as a role of heading a digital business, I started a digital business fresh new in ABB a couple of years back. We have a more than $1 billion digital software business, but about $3 billion digital enabled business. From an innovation side, similar size, 32 billion size, and for R&D, for our core products, we put about 10% of our revenue on R&D. For the new areas, let's say AI and digital, though it is not capital intensive, we still put a lot of focus. We actually invest about 15%. So it's kind of a, first of all, we need to put right level of investments to ignite innovation. Otherwise, it will be a good amount of POCs, but never productize it. So that's an element of how do you align your strategic importance. For instance, we have 3 priorities for ABB: sustainability and energy transition, profitability growth, digital, right? Digital includes AI. That's kind of a top line we need to bring it in. The way that we use this money effectively is first to start encouraging a lot of innovation, right? Which is both focused and disruptive innovations. Every quarter we call as an accelerator. In fact, next week is a big ABB accelerator happening here in Bangalore for globally. It is actually having 3 tracks always. One is a hackathon, which is very similar, you do it, hackathon style. And second thing is showcase. Every quarter you get an opportunity for showcasing your products and offerings. Both internal innovation, that means what you use it for your own business processes, but also the external innovation for customer offerings, right? That's kind of the showcase track. And third is the thought leadership, the way that we are able to assemble with you together, bring the leaders to showcase what's happening. These 3 tracks are available for every employee across ABB for 120,000 employees. That's a way that you also spark, make them incentivize, as well as like bring kind of a motivation for getting into innovation cycle, right? The last piece I want to cover is that, as you mentioned, ABB is also serving different kind of industries, right? We are leader for electrification, automation, and digitalization. We run some of the critical infrastructure plants using our DCS control systems. You can't just make a change like this, right? It's going to possibly impact. At the same time, when you are doing an AI or digitalization of running remotely all our mines as well as the vessels, we need quick innovations. So we have one process, I'll make it very simple, not taking a lot of time. We call this process of innovation, instead of R&D and innovation, we call as RIDEP. We call as RIDEP. So research is a team that I have, which is focusing on what we call as third horizon. What is going to come in 5 years? Like we predicted AI and data center exploration about 5 years back. And we equipped ourselves in terms of what we need to be there. That's kind of a research happens, which we allocate certain amount of fund for that. The innovation, as I said, is that it is where we look at what is needed in next 2 to 3 years that will make you competitive. We invest quite a lot, including the accelerators, but also allocate specific fund for innovation. The intent of innovation is that we say that at least 20% of them will fail. That means you're experimenting, 80% will be successful in terms of where we go. That's our standard metrics we have. Development is where you do the standard software development or the other product R&D developments. E is actually experience. For digital products, we allow it to the customers for adopting, first hand adoption, customer voice, that's an E. Whereas in the critical infrastructure like automation systems, E for us is really looking at sandboxing and testing it for enough time. Reliability, as you said. Make it reliable, robust, harden it, then before getting to that. P is obviously production. So the RIDEP is the way that we have a gate process which allows innovation speed at the same time keeping the reliability and criticality in terms of performance scalability. And of course, both advancing on our core critical infrastructure, but also bringing innovation on the new elements, right? So.
Thanks, Rajesh. I think you put in a very nice word that explore plus exploit, right? And putting resources where it does matter. Shyam, I would like to your take on this. And again, I know you are from the similar space in the industry, but doing a lot of things.
Sure.
How do you encourage your team to innovate faster?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Suresh. And first of all, both Applied Materials and ABB are our customers. So I come from a material science company. Yeah, Carborundum Universal Limited. So a few points that comes to my mind after all that has been covered is that one is, in today's world to innovate, you must benchmark best-in-class products and services, global best-in-class. That's where, opportunity to work with organizations such as Applied Materials and ABB, really brings out that kind of a class. So you don't just benchmark the local domestic products, but rather the best-in-class. And then find out what are the properties, features, whatever it is that you need to incorporate in your product that you service them, and what are the infrastructure investments required to achieve that. So this is a very key thing. The other thing is, the innovation team, better to give them exclusive responsibility. If you mix it up with the revenue team, or the what we call the growth engine, like with Dr. Vijay Govindarajan's book. So, it is very easy to achieve the targets out of the growth engine. So his KRA needs to be, as few people's KRA needs to be focused exclusively on the innovation measures. And, innovation measures, quite often you need to have milestones rather than just the end result, So what are the customer appreciation points that come time to time, and, what are the recognitions we get from customer for the efforts that are we are making. So reward and recognition needs to include that. The other, this thing is, the objective of the innovation needs to be clearly spelled out, in terms of business outcomes. Otherwise, you will find that you are running behind a lot of things which may or may not yield you any much business results. And final point which I would like to emphasize here is in today's world with the AI and such facilities, real-time performance data of our products, real-time data, gives in lot of inputs for innovating existing product improvement, adding new features and things like that. And finally, of course, the cost benchmarking in innovation, because unless you can service the customer at the cost that he is looking at, that becomes totally, a very important thing right from the beginning. And one last point I would like to say is you need to be in sync with the industry trends. For example, ABB, he has told us, electrification. So what is the trends in the electrification? See, we are servicing, for example, vacuum interrupter housings for their vacuum interrupters. So vacuum interrupters is shifting from sulfur hexafluoride to vacuum. So what is the implications of that? What is the miniaturization that is going on at ABB for the vacuum interrupters and switch gears? So what products and innovation that I need to develop to service their product 3 years from now? That program needs to be started today in consultation with the customer. So a lot of the inputs can come from customers, from suppliers. See, suppliers have core competencies. You can dovetail that into what the customer wants. So those are the few thoughts I had.
Very interesting. I think you brought out a very interesting point. One was milestone, because growth or a running business, it's very different. So the outcomes, how do you define, which is very interesting. But I think a great segue into our next question, Shyam, and I will now go this way around. So keep mic with
sure.
you. You brought up AI, right? And AI, cloud computing, IoT, and we all know what's happening in the cyberspace, right?
Right.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Not only that, today's customers and users are very demanding.
Right,
If
right.
you are not available 24/7, there are competitors they will migrate to. right?
Absolutely.
So with innovation and with this agility, but when you integrate your new solutions, right? How do you ensure how do you ensure these are secure, reliable, performant? What's your take on this?
Yeah. See, first of all, I think we need to have total trust and confidentiality with the customer partners or supplier partners with whom we are working. That's a given today, okay? Because a lot of the knowledge is coming from the customers. For example, we are learning a lot from applied materials, ABB. We also learn from suppliers. So the confidentiality and NDA, is signed on the dotted line. But actually, you need to follow that to the letter and spirit. It's not because the customer is going to check on us or not check on us. It doesn't really matter, okay? That is the first. Second thing is, patenting of new ideas quickly is really one way of securing your technology. You can do a joint patent with the customer. You can, if it is joint work, you can do patents on your own. And also, in fact, before coming here, we all were discussing in the speaker's room. See, what is happening is the soft skills, like the people's own, commitment and trust levels to what they're developing is very, very important. Any technical areas can be taught to people, but, my inherent, proclivities towards maintaining trustworthiness, maintaining quality, responsibility for what we are taking. If I'm working for an organization, I have a responsibility to that, the passion, and of course, integrity goes without saying. So these are all very important, and the way you demonstrate this is, these are value systems. So we have in our organization Shine Awards. Shine Awards are, for the demonstrated, live on the job commitment to the value systems. Someone is showing integrity for 20 years. You just recognize him only for that. Not necessarily that he has become a general manager or anything like that. He may or may not have, but his commitment levels are like that. So you need to create a culture of that, and as leaders, we need to demonstrate that. For example, many of us are signing the NDAs, and then putting it in the drawer. That is not going to help. You need to take call on, when we have decided that we'll not work with the competitor to our customer, so be it. I mean, you cannot keep on saying that, he has given us the drawing and give some excuses. That will not work. So the security of all the innovations and technology, predicates upon all these elements that are to be put in place properly, both within our organization and with all our stakeholders, partner companies, customers, suppliers, and so on. That's my take.
Yeah, trust and values. I think values always trumps anything else, growth and everything. So I think, Rajesh, we can live without, internet down for half an hour, but we cannot live without electricity. And in your domain, your area, critical services are enabled by you. How do you manage, security, their reliability and uptime? Obviously, very different definition from a website, but how do you ensure these utilities are always up and running and available for the users?
Yeah, I think absolutely. So cybersecurity and safety is super critical for critical infrastructures, as you stated. One of the things that we brought the cyber security and security per se is as a core element in ABB. ABB is about 18 different industrial divisions, makes it up 32 billion. But we kept one thing as license to operate, which is common. It's like core for everyone across the group. The license to operate has three elements: integrity, cybersecurity, and ABB purpose. So the cybersecurity is elevated to the degree of license to operate. If there is a compromise, that's out, right? It's no matter like how much your business is growing or how much you are serving. That's kind of a mandating that from the top. And of course, we have a core cybersecurity council, which I'm leading that, which is fundamentally for driving every element of secure by design. Because as you rightly said, our software, our core products, our electrification products goes to various places where it cannot have any downtime of even a couple of minutes, right? So even sometimes seconds in the plant. So security by design in terms of the product development, including the DevSecOps process, which includes the security underneath. B, then we call as the secure by deployment. We have a reference architecture. How do you deploy different products at different levels in the plant, enterprise, as well as OT/IT side. And third, we call as a security in service, which include SLAs, including also back-to-back. I really like the way you said that we should also look at security from our suppliers as well, including in this case, Microsoft could be an Azure, or it could be any others like NVIDIA as an example, or Intel. We work with them on getting a TPM certification on the chip. So certain services on cybersecurity we centralized across the group, as simple as certification, PKI certification. Every device that goes from our factory, which is going to be connected to us in IoT, it's certified by one group. So certain things, I believe that mandating cybersecurity, I mean, it cannot be like something nice to have. I think that's from a way to cybersecurity. Reliability comes in terms of the services, is always clearly having extreme scenarios proactively defined. And having a right SOPs in place, I mean, is as good as like the way that you do it for defense. We should do it also for the critical infrastructure that we do. One thing I just want to leave it for a thought for you is that today, it's irrespective of whichever organization that you run, having your security ops part of your IT as well as part of your development cycle is super important. We have one thing called as the minimum cybersecurity requirements for anything that goes out of ABB, whether it's a product or software or services. If that is not certified, it has a very clearly defined guidelines. If that is not certified, it is not allowed to go. We call it as a gate 5 before going. And if even a small exception you need to make it for a customer urgency, you need to give it, the business owner of that has to sign it, saying that I'm responsible if something goes wrong. So that's a level of criticality we bring it on cybersecurity and safety.
Interesting. Secure by design. Security should not be an afterthought. Security and reliability. So, Suraj, again, yours is a very, as we discussed about, making chips, and we know what happened in Israel and Lebanon few days back, right? So while we all talk about digital attacks and UPI fraud, but you have a greater responsibility, right? If those supply chains are attacked or, we know what can happen. What's your take? How do you ensure,
Okay, I'll back up a little bit just from the semiconductor industry. Semiconductor industry is in the unique position of creating the AI chips, right? Those are the ones, and we are also a consumer of AI, right? So let me go on the producer of AI chips. So one issue that all of us need to be aware of is the energy consumption of that. So there is a sustainability aspect of that which the industry is working towards. Today, if you use ChatGPT to ask a question which you would otherwise use in Google, the energy consumption is 8x. So people just type stuff. Be careful, we are consuming a lot of resources, and the industry is working on bringing that down through a lot of innovations. That's the first part. The second is the consumption of all of these, right? So there is the productivity aspect. All of us know documentation, GPT, that kind of stuff, right? That's all. But the one that I believe there is a lot of value add is the accelerator part, that materials discovery. If you can use AI to figure out the right kind of coating, so instead of running 100 experiments, you can narrow it down to 2 or 3. So there are things like that, AI use cases, which the industry is trying to deploy. Computer vision, predictive analysis, create digital twins, and then use them. So those, I believe those are the ones where you will see a lot more focus and drive going forward. Now coming to the security part, there are two things. One is we have to firewall within our customers, right? We serve 3 or 4 customers. We need to be very careful. He brought that up. How do we make sure that aspect of security, how do we deal with that? The second part is the supply chain. So we deal with maybe 10,000 companies. The problem with this is through that supply chain, it's very difficult to figure out where the gap is going to be, number one. Number two is these are small companies. They don't have the wherewithal to put expensive software and shields and things like that. So we are working with DSCI and NASCOM and others to figure out, are there platforms maybe that can be cloud enabled, whatever, that can be deployed across these. So one way is to figure out your supply chain and where are the weak points in your supply chain. That is something that we are trying to do, especially in India where We are trying to grow this ecosystem. Small suppliers who have not been in this industry, we need to do that education and bring them up. So that's what we are working on right now.
Thank you. I think that was a great point on sustainability. We just don't have to secure our today. We have to think about future also. And yes, given the complexity, we cannot just rest easy saying we have done our deal, but your suppliers, vendors, we need to ensure, help them, to make sure and work with industry partner like as you mentioned, NESCO. So Venkat, we were discussing in the room before, right? You want customers are not going to wait, right? Even in banks, right? If a transaction fails, that's a bad customer experience, and you need to monitor at each level to figure out where things are going wrong. And in today's world of 24/7 net banking, mobile banking, what new challenges it brings to you, and how do you deal with them to ensure that your infra, your environment, your applications are secure, reliable, and performant?
Two parts of the question, I think, what we're talking about. One, when it comes down to, usage of the newer generation of technology, it actually brings in a lot more challenges. And, especially when you talk about AI, we know that, we are consuming something from which is there available in a virtual world, but we don't know what is going out. So we, in a banking industry, if we want to consume AI, we have to be very doubly sure that, we are consuming something, but we are not giving away data outside. So it's a guardrail which we need to build. And a second important thing wherein you talked about is with respect to how am I going to, ensure that a transaction gets completed in a particular amount of time. So, and I'll also mix up challenges on that. So, for doing a UPI transaction or an IMPS transaction, what happens is once you use your mobile, it actually has multiple hops. One mobile banking, there is a system, then you have a firewall, then you have, you have the API banking, API gateway. From API gateway, it goes to your, your ESB server, and from there to my internal system, and then get back the information back through the whole journey. So you just imagine there are some 4 or 5 hops before a transaction happens. And every transaction is very important. So in terms of IMPS or any kind of a payment transaction, when you do a transaction, you have to ensure that transaction gets completed in, say, a 3 millisecond, 5 millisecond for every hop, so that the overall transaction leg gets completed within a particular period of time. Otherwise, there will be session timeouts and there will be errors. And when there are errors, and if you, unfortunately, the Gen Zs are looking at buying, Gen Zs are generally interested in doing, Swiggy, Zomato, or, book a movie ticket. So they will get, those guys are getting affected the most. Or imagine you are in a hospital and you're not able to pay money. So that's a very critical stage wherein, the stake of the bank is at, the reputation of bank is at stake, because you have to, it's my moral obligation that we have to complete the transaction for that particular customer. Every transaction has to get observed end to end. So it is one to put sensors at every hop, and also look at every journey. So I have to simulate every journey to look at whether the journey is getting completed within a particular period of time. And also have hops which actually make sure that whether it is coming from the latency is getting induced in my application layer or my network layer, on my database layer, which layer is causing this issue. So it's all about building those probably sensors which can be integrated to an APM or and also correlate that data with my the infrastructure monitoring tools like SolarWinds or whatever it is, which actually we can then correlate both the logs and arrive at some kind of a mechanism by which I can say that pinpoint that the transaction is getting failed because of a latency being induced in a particular at a particular hop. The most important thing is this technology is getting improved over a period of time. And we were just discussing before coming to this hall of how to, make a future-proof code by which, we can introduce open telemetry in our applications. Open telemetry, then you are not subjected to, because these APM tools are also very expensive. How can I actually make use of open telemetry by which I can, we can measure these performances both on the business side, also on the technology side. How am I able to measure those performances at every leg is going to be very critical. So and on top of it is lying your SRE, the site reliability engineering concept, wherein I have to fix a problem in a particular amount of time. So all these aspects have to be stitched together to give a better experience to the customer, a better service internally to make sure that my internal systems are performing very well. And finally, there is no way by which when you talk about transactions, we have to be careful about the security part of it. And a very pertinent use case on the AI side is fraud risk management. Fraud risk management becomes a very, very critical aspect of it, where the frauds are getting detected on a real-time basis, and a call goes back to the customer saying that, did you do this transaction? And to understand, couple out with if there is a person based in, say, Andhra Pradesh, he will not understand Hindi or an English, right? The call has to land in his phone in his particular language which he understands. So it's all about building that intelligence by which the call ends to him saying that whether he's done the transaction, he completes the transaction. So that's a responsibility we have as a bank. And those are challenges as well as those are areas of where we are improving.
I think you brought the point that having that proactive monitoring and leveraging open source observability tools to ensure that, while we are not only building the system, but making sure that day-to-day operations, we have a handle on that and be proactive, helping customers. Ajay, what's your take on this? Because you are a new age company and pretty sure building things fast, a lot of competition, incumbents do have, a lead over you in terms of existing infra customer, but then you have to compete them on products, new innovation, right? How do you ensure with that speed, that velocity, you ensure reliability, security, and performance?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So being a new age bank, while our roots are on microfinance, etc., but if you look at the framework that we have developed within our organization is to ensure that there is proper partner or vendor risk assessment being conducted when we are onboarding any fintech or things. So that level of assessment includes both operational risk, information risk, the native app that they have, whether is it encrypted and all the standards are meeting. So that kind of pre-study before onboarding on fintech or a platform within our organization has helped us to isolate problems and preempt any such leakage, data leakage, etc. That's on the onboarding piece. After onboarding, what we also do is regular cyber drills within the organization, ensure that data that is there obviously we have data localization laws and high encryption standards defined by the regulator, but identifying, and like Venkatji said about monitoring and aspects, ensuring that our APK that is on Play Store is secured. We have the tools that are ensuring that code is not being, you are able to break the code and make duplicate APKs. And we also see a lot of WhatsApp messages coming in that you please update your Aadhaar. And the intruders have become so tech savvy, they are converting APKs to .pdf. And you just click it and the APK gets installed, and then you're at the mercy of the intruder and your critical information is with him. And they prey on you and they wait for salary credit and then they try to do the transaction. So we, as our risk team has identified such threat actors. We proactively engage with cybersecurity officials to ensure that those servers are brought down. We communicate to users periodically telling that not to include such APKs, please download the right app and don't click unnecessary thing. That kind of customer communication and engagement becomes the key, because banking itself is very vast, and having around 75 odd applications and 15 odd being customer facing, it becomes very critical that, as my CISO always says, that you presume that the intruder is within the system. It's not that he's going to sit outside and try to attack you from Nagpur or anywhere. So it's not, you presume that he's inside, and that's where I think data at rest being encrypted, data in transit being encrypted, all these play a critical role, and we ensure that these are part of our onboarding journey, and the technologies that we adopt are meeting the best standards that obviously are regulatory driven, and we ensure that our customers' money is safe and we are able to serve them better.
Thanks. I think educating customer is also one part of the part. Rahul, you have been in different industries, right? And you have seen all those challenges. What's your take, what else we can do to ensure that our systems are secure and reliable?
So I believe security should not be treated as a system problem. As a matter of fact, security has 4 different dimensions. The first dimension being people dimension. Second is process. Third is platform or system. And fourth is policy frameworks. And if you see, even if you have the best of the policies, best of the systems, best of the process, the weakest link in the security protocol or enablement is people. And that is why we focus on training all the people involved in this, let's say, securing the system, right from our end user to the people who are building the system, as well as the people who are maintaining those systems. So security is no longer a responsibility of one department, one function, but it has become a problem of a whole ecosystem. So let me share with you like one example, which I recall from when I was leading the mobile app for IDFC First Bank. And in that, every month, depending on what type of security breaches are happening, all of our customer support team, production support team, as well as our engineering team has to go through their awareness video led quizzing system. And everybody has to pass those security quizzes. A lot of time, the systems are getting broken, not because of unauthorized uses, but authorized uses with the help of the people involved. I will give you the simple example. Somebody is calling the contact center and saying, I have lost my PIN code, can you give me the, I don't remember, can you generate a PIN code? And they mimic the behavior of a customer. They provide all that information. And our customer support staff is not able to distinguish that this is a social engineering or social phishing call, and they are able to create a mistake and they are able to provide them certain set of information. So we are able to diagnose that these are some of the issues, and we are able to inbuilt as a part of our people training process, internal as well as external. And most of the security breaches are not happening because of external people are able to penetrate into our system, but they are happening because internal people are not aware of, and they are making a very simple mistakes and letting leaking the credentials or the secure information to the end user. Then second important thing, which is around the processes through which data is flowing from one system to another system. Those processes also need to be defined in a safe and secure manner. For example, earlier we were talking about AI model training. So we define what type of data processes, this type of data cannot leave the certain system. For example, if it is a PII data of tier 1, take the example of the PAN card or Aadhaar card number, etc. None of these data can go from a core transactional system. These has to be only part of a system of record. They cannot be part of a system of interactions or system of innovations or system of learning. So defining the processes around around data, around the way data is getting shared or stored is also critical part. Then third is how the systems are built and deployed, and that is where the DevSecOps, right from development environment to the CI/CD pipelines to the deployment in the core infrastructure, all of those need to be secured, and they should be secured in a manner where the dev environment is completely decoupled or sandboxed from the production environment. The credentials of the production environment are not known to the dev environment or vice versa. So a lot of time, this credential leakage also creates a bigger set of security problems. That is where the training of our development staff, as well as the release management team, as well as the SRE team also came into the play, that how do they manage the credentials of all these systems and how the credentials get rotated. And that is where the policy comes into the picture. Policy says none of the credentials can be there for more than X amount of time, or none of the credential can be used by two different set of people at the same time. Okay. Or security policies could be, you might have seen some of the bank apps today you cannot install into two different mobile because of the SIM binding or because of what we call device binding. So all of these policy frameworks have also came into the play with the help of the RBIs or the regulators, which says ki we have to ensure that people-related lapses or system-related lapses can be minimized. But in the end of the day, we have to recognize it is a continuous game of cat and mouse. If we are making the systems and processes more evolved in terms of security, then the perpetrators are also becoming smarter. And with the help of AI, you might have seen a lot of deepfake videos. They are creating a new set of security challenges where people can mimic the voice of your parents or family members, and on the basis of which they can demand the credential from you. And that is where we have also advised our customer, have a safe word. Ki whenever you are receiving a call for certain money or transactions or access of your system, ask the other side what is a safe word so that deepfake like challenges can be resolved. So this is a continuous game, and that is where the four important dimensions, building more and more evolving policies which are taking security as a primary consideration of the evolution of the whole ecosystem, building processes which are in alignment with these security policies, building platforms which are secure by design and which are operates on a principle of zero trust, and then training our people, not only end users. End user training is a problem, but the bigger problem is internal user training. Customer support, production staff, or our own engineering team. These are the four different dimensions. If we keep them continuously evolving with the principle of security by design, security by process, security by policy, security by education and awareness, then hopefully we will be able to solve the challenge of continuously evolving threat landscape.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the insights. And with this, we would like to take the discussion off the stage.